Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast. Every week brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I remembered to unmute my mic this damn time, so we're off to a flying good start. This is episode 145, recording on July 8th, 2015. You'll be watching it on July 9th. I'm Mike Byrne, aka magicman. We're gonna get started, but first, the gentleman I have with me is not that dog you just heard. He's actually a real human. Mr. Jason Winter, how are you?
I'm actually in early access, so it's going to cost you $20 to find out how I feel.
Yep.
I'm not free to think just yet.
That's another founder's pack I just don't want to buy.
For $100, you get to hear what I feel and you get pictures.
Well, all right, now I'm intrigued. Now I'm intrigued. When you start throwing on bonus shit, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, that's exactly all I have to do is add to that, and you'll just throw $100.
Give me digital goodies. Also on the line, you know him, you love him, from Free to Play Weekly, Mr. Zach Sharps. How are you?
I'm doing all right. In order to get me, as far as my founder's pack, it's $200, and you get a free statue. So.
No, should have thrown the statue.
And things have taken a very awkward turn right off the beginning of the show. Jason selling pictures, Zach's giving away statues. I don't even want to know. Let's get started with the news. Good grief, you guys are maniacs. All right, first up today, it was kind of like the week of open betas. And Zach, you talked about it on Free to Play Weekly off of all the articles. It seemed like there was 2 or 3 days there where every article I wrote in a row was an open beta of some point, to the point where I just gave up on creative headlines and said yet another open beta and just threw the game title in it. Couldn't do it anymore. So first up, CABAL 2 went into open beta. Now, we talked extensively about the game itself last week, so no need to kind of rehash that. If you want our thoughts on CABAL 2, go take a look at last week's episode. But I do want to get kind of an update because, Zach, both you and I were going to check out a little more. We wanted to see what the performance was looking like as they actually went into open beta. Did they optimize things at all? Jason, I don't know if you decided to go and check out the game a little bit or if you just left totally hands off. But what are your thoughts now in open beta, Zach?
Well, I only played probably about 2 days of open beta, and during the first 2 days, it was completely ridiculous. There were so many people. I had the tagging issue that you did that I didn't have before because there was no one on when I played it originally. And so I enjoyed it a lot less than I did when it was not in open beta just because of how many people there were. Its glaring issues became more in the forefront than it was before, at least for me. So I don't have a positive thought about it, and I uninstalled it, and the uninstaller wasn't even translated. So good thing I know somewhat how to navigate, untranslated uninstallers.
Fantastic. I logged in.
It doesn't come until launch.
Right. It's part of the Founders Pack as the uninstaller.
You can't uninstall unless you buy a Founders Pack at all.
I went in like a day or two or maybe like the night before open beta launched because I just wanted to see if the performance had smoothed out a little bit because it was so yuck as far as optimization went. And I was still having issues, and I was in an area where there was almost nobody anymore because all the closed beta early access people had already leveled through that zone, so nobody was there, and there were still performance issues. Yep. I logged in as soon as the open beta went live, a few hours after it went live, not immediately, because I just did not expect this one to go smoothly at all. So I gave it a few hours, and it was, I have to agree with you, it was nasty. It was nasty performance-wise. Hey, if the game works for you, great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It just was so Echo of Soul, traditional for me. I'm sorry, that's your favorite game according to all the viewers, Zach. All the viewers think Zach just loves Echo of Soul.
I uninstalled it. It's off my computer.
But hey, and I'll tell you what, we've got so many bombs and questions and boycott feedback. I mean, a big portion of this show is going to be viewer stuff. We're going to go through the news like we always do, but we're going to have to shorten it down a little bit because there's a ton of viewer stuff, and CABAL 2 came up a lot. If you're having fun, let us know why and what you like about it, and keep us appraised on performance issues, but that was the biggie for me in CABAL. Next up, World of Warships also went into open beta. Jason, you did the first look video on this one because you're our correspondent, war
I'm a
game,
war correspondent.
our war correspondent.
I go into the trenches to get the big
exactly. So you did Armored Warfare, you did all that fun stuff. So World of Warships, I said, hey Jason, do you want this or do you want me to take it? And he was like, I don't have access. I said, I sent you a key already. Oh, well then yeah, I'll take it. So you did the first look. It posted today, this morning. Give us the lowdown. What were your overall thoughts?
Of course, the basic premise of it is just the same as any wargaming game. You got different teams. You're gonna have to PvP battles, a couple different types. You'll rank up your ships. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Put more stuff on them and so forth. That basic part of it is pretty much the same. Now, how does it play as opposed to how something like World of Tanks plays? I think surprisingly it feels faster because you have to generally keep moving. In World of Tanks, you can sit around, maybe find a spot that you can camp, and just kind of go forward and back a little bit, peek around a corner to try and get a shot at somebody. You really can't do that in World of Warships. You pretty much stay on the move almost constantly. And a lot of what you have to do is shift back and forth between your aiming view and the widescreen view, so you can get a solid shot on someone you're aiming at, which is 8 kilometers away, so you have to fire your guns in front of them, hope they run into it, whatever. And then you have to, from your overhead, your back, your wider range view, have to avoid colliding with other ships and islands and making your way around the course and whatever. In that sense, I was really kind of surprised. I thought it would be a lot more slower moving because I think of ships as being, even more than tanks, I think of them as being kind of lumbering and not really all that mobile. So I was kind of surprised that actually I think it required more targeting proficiency than World of Tanks does. Because like I said, when ships are on the move, you have to fire in front of them so that you'll hit them as they go. And there isn't a targeting little aid like I know there is in World of Warplanes and War Thunder and that sort of thing. So that to me was probably the biggest thing. In terms of that, it is an open beta still, so it's still got a ways to go before they can finish up a lot of things. I thought it was lacking a few decent points on a few little tiny things. Like I talked about the damage modeling. I talked about when your ship is destroyed, it just kind of blows up and generically sinks. And I said that I was so used to playing the Total War games, which have much more detail in their naval combat.
Absolute destruction and damage.
Yeah, exactly. Ships entirely blow up, they split in half and they sink separately. Of course, they have guys on board the ships that jump off or they're on fire or whatever.
I want to see that bitch sink like the Titanic.
Exactly.
Go up and break in half. Now, I'm generally, so we get this question a lot, particularly in emails and forum posts and things like that. Is how do you guys divide up the first looks? Because when it was Spunkify and I, and now it's Jason and I, how do you divide up the first looks? Well, generally speaking, we have our kind of go-to genres that we both like. So generally speaking, if there's an MMORPG, I'm going to cover that. If there's a war game, Jason's going to cover that type of thing. Occasionally, we cash in favors with the other one. I really don't want to look at this one. Can you take this first look? And I don't care what's next. I'll take it. I'll do the blind pick.
So it still did Echo Soul for me. Thank you.
And it's whoever's available a lot of times too. If Jason's on vacation or I'm on vacation too. But this one, you did the first look. You sent it over so I could do some final stuff to it before posting it. I'm sitting there watching it. And to me, just World of Tanks is just, okay, it's not my genre. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate that Wargaming does it well. World of Warplanes, Gaijin Entertainment's War Thunder, all that stuff. Yeah, great. Fantastic. It's just not my genre. I'll play it once or twice and that's it. Watching your first look, I actually wanted to play this one. And I couldn't tell you what the hell it was. Because, yeah, right. Take away the boats and add in tanks and put it on land, and you essentially have the same game in World of Tanks. So what is it about World of Warships that makes me want to play it? I could not tell you. But I am definitely going to jump into this. It looked like the performance was pretty smooth, too, in the first look video. Looked like, and we would expect that from Wargaming.
The only issue I had there was the load times were pretty long. Sometimes it would be didn't show up here because I think I loaded into a couple of the maps, but sometimes there's like a 30-second pre-battle, which is like most other games have. Sometimes I wouldn't load in until at least 15, 20 seconds after that. Like ships were already moving.
Yeah,
So
there
that
was a little bit of chop, and if you guys watch the first look, you can see it when you go into the PvE match. When you initially go in there, that match, and it queues up and throws you in the water, there's like 5 or 10 seconds of a little bit of chop there. But performance-wise, that was
yeah.
the only stutter I saw, which we would expect from Wargaming. They got the tech side of this down pat. Being an open beta, Zach, have you played it at all yourself? I downloaded it yesterday, but I have not jumped into it yet.
Not yet. I'm kind of on the same fence that you are in terms of it's not my favorite particular type of game. And the concept of it to me seemed like it was going to be a lot slower than World of Tanks. So it's good to hear from Jason that that's indeed false, that it's a little bit faster because you're always on the move. So that intrigues me a bit. The first look that I watched from Jason, it seemed entertaining enough for me to check it out. So I'll probably check it out once I have some free time. But I currently have on my plate Skyforge, which will be out tomorrow. So I'll be checking that out.
So now, I guess the question is, when do we see all 3 games combined into one big, massive world war, Jason?
I don't know if they're ever going to do that.
I don't think
they're
so
gonna keep
either.
it separate.
It would be pretty sweet if they could, but it'd be kind of
Well,
messy.
what would the ships do to the tanks that are like
Right.
half a mile inland?
Yeah.
It'd be fun, though. It'd be fun. So what are you going to give it, Jason? It sounds like performance-wise, it gets some high marks. Concept-wise, I guess maybe you give it low marks there for concepts. It's not much of a concept. Put some ships in some water and let them fight. But performance, execution, what are you going to do? What are you going to score it?
It does what it's supposed to do. It's not surprising. It's not like I was expecting some sort of great revelation in gaming. But, you know, it does what I expected it to do. And we've heard about this game. We've been reporting on it since at least 3 or 4 years now. So to actually play it is kind of neat. So, I mean, I guess I'd give it like an 8 maybe, with potential to go a little higher if they deal with some of those tiny issues that I talked about earlier.
And that's a pretty good score considering you score on the 5 as an average
Yes,
game.
I actually called this.
Yeah.
That's a pretty damn good score. Speaking of Skyforge, that goes into actual full open beta on July 16th. But Zach, you're jumping in tomorrow? What? What's this craziness? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so on the 9th, there is the early access open beta for people who have Founders Packs. And
You bought a Founders Pack? Heresy!
Yes, I personally bought a $50 one, and then they decided to gift me a $100 one. We thought it was $100 at the time. Now it's like, what, 80 or 70? I don't know. But
yeah, that's the same thing that happened to me.
Yeah, they upgraded me, which I was fine with. I'm like, okay, I was going to spend money on this game anyhow because I do like the concept. I think the combat's a little floaty. I like the graphic art style. I think it's really good in terms of what they're aiming for in terms of performance-wise across all machines. I think that the only thing that people are going to have major gripes about, besides the combat being a little bit floaty, is the cash shop. We haven't really seen much of that yet. We've heard what they want to do, but we haven't seen it in action. And then also the linearity of the game as well is a huge concern because a lot of people really enjoyed the semi-open world areas, but they didn't necessarily like the dungeons. I kind of like the dungeons because every boss that I ran into was very unique. So it's going to be very interesting to see how all of it translates into an open beta setting, and I'm looking forward to playing it. So,
no more wipes. That's good news.
That's very good.
And that's, I don't know how many people did this. I think, Zach, you mentioned on a show or two ago that you did the same thing I did. You bought your Founders Pack, you jumped into like closed beta 1 and like the first day or two of closed beta 2, and then didn't touch it because it's so linear that, to me, I would have fried myself on Skyforge by the time open beta rolled around. And when you wiped my character, I would have been like, screw it, I am not doing all that stuff again.
Yeah, I did play the stress tests a little bit, like for an hour or two. I just wanted to see what they added onto the game, and then I would bailed out because I'm like, I'm not going through all this crap again. I have to do it, in a day, so I'm not really gonna. At least yesterday it was 2 days, but I knew that I had to go back through these zones, and I didn't want to burn myself out on these zones because it's so linear that going through it multiple times is gonna get to you. So that's its biggest concern. Yeah.
Jason, one of the big gripes that you and I had when we talked about Skyforge way back when is some of the classes being locked in that upper Ascension Atlas, and that you literally have to progress through the game to even unlock the other classes and put in a ton of time, or, of course, shell out El Dollarinos. On that side, though, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that my.com / Obsidian Entertainment decided to reduce some of the requirements of time to get those classes open. Now, I don't know how much. They just said we reduced them, so it could be a little smidge. I don't know. But that's definitely welcome news for, I think, a lot of players.
It seems like that happens a lot, too. Almost every game seems to have like this ridiculous grind that they put in early, and they're like, oh, maybe that's a little too much. Let's scale it back a bit. So
I'd rather them do it that way, though, right?
You can't always go that way. You can't go the other way.
Right, yeah, don't scale the damn grind up, for crying out loud. What else?
I really wonder how much Spunkify is yelling at them about these things, because you think that Alod's team and Obsidian Entertainment, with their track record with Alod's Online, you would think that they would probably be less keen to listen to viewer feedback because they were so arrogant with Alod's, but they're changing it up with Skyforge, and I'm impressed with what they're doing. So
I'd say that's probably not just them. I think, with all respect to Spunkify, he's a community manager. He doesn't get to yell at the people making the game, probably.
Right.
Well, yeah. But he could have some input.
We're kind of seeing that across the board, though, with a lot of, particularly publishers, more so than developers. But a lot of publishers starting to admit mistakes and look, we're getting that, except for Trion Worlds. Speaking of Trion Worlds, there's a segue. Trove launches 2 days from this record. Well, 1 day away from this recording. So if you're watching this the day we post it, Trove is live, or will be live later today, depending on what time you're watching it. Jason, we got a chance to sit down with some of the team behind Trove at Trion Worlds. This is one of those games that's really easy to think you know everything about, right? It's a game that I haven't touched in a long time, because to me it's that little voxel game that there's dungeons and go do some stuff. But apparently there's a lot shaking that has been in Trove for a while, and tomorrow's the big day for them. What's new? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, when I look back to write about this, because I really didn't even look seriously at Trove this year. At some point last year I did, like November, December is when I last actually played it. Then I went back and went to the website. I was going to try to figure out some questions to ask the guy during the interview, and I'm like, wow, they've updated this and this and this and this. They've added a lot of stuff. They added
the club stuff's really cool.
Well, yeah, that had been there from the start, but obviously people have been making more and more and more. Actually, someone in the comments commented that they're whatever it was. What is the club? Voxel Busters. That might be who I got invited to. Thanks if that was you. But he said, yeah, Voxel Busters is apparently the club world that we see in the opening shot there, where as the director explained to me, every one of those blocks was placed, one by one, by a person. So that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, then they talked about the ships and the fishing, and obviously I'm sure they put in a bunch of new hats. That's a big deal. It's like Team Fortress 2 with voxels, I guess, basically. They added dragons, which you can raise right from the start. You can hatch them and raise them and then fly on them, and they shoot. So it's almost like playing World of Warplanes, I was watching the guys who was playing it, and it was like they had a little targeting reticle in front, and he blew stuff up as he went by. So yeah, I mean, they seem to add a lot of things to make it a complete game, more than just here's a little building stuff, here's a couple dungeons, whatever.
To me, Zach, I don't know how you feel about this, but to me, Trove is one of those games that I can't see myself playing all that much. I'm not huge on the creation type games to begin with. I'll dabble in Minecraft every once in a while if I'm really bored, but so having other elements on top of that creation element certainly helps Trove attract somebody like me to be a potential player. But my stumbling block with Trove is that's the type of game, yeah, see what I did there? Stumbling block with Trove. Is that, all right, go ahead, roll your eyes there, Zach. That was a good one, damn it. To me, that's the type of game that I have to have a group of friends that we're going to go in and play. It's just not like if I jump into an MMO and I meet some people and end up guilding up with them, fine. Trove is one of those games that I think 3 or 4 people go in and have a good time, and if I don't have that group, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, with Trove, I want to check it out eventually. Them launching on the 9th is not going to help me out at all checking out their game. So it'll probably be a week or so later, once things slow down with Skyforge. I'll probably check it out just to have a little bit of entertainment and see what they have changed. But part of me is still a little burnt over Trion Worlds as being Trion Worlds. So it's going to be hard for me to actively support the game. If it's good, I'll say it's good, but it's one of those things where I'm still burnt in terms of Trion Worlds and their whole Arcade fiasco, and I don't think they've learned yet, even though they're actually releasing this game. They probably have changed some things, but I just don't see the change in their actual company. But I wish Trove the best of luck, and I think it probably would be a good game, especially if you're into voxel games. So
Something else that isn't going to help very much. They're launching on the 9th. Got to compete with the Skyforge early access. But then the 10th, boom, Path of Exile, The Awakening drops. I cannot wait, Jason. I cannot wait.
You're a big Path of Exile guy?
I love Path of Exile, and with all the changes they're making, I'm going to start totally new again. They're changing all kinds of the leveling experience. Even it's time to just re-roll, baby, and go through Path of Exile. Looking forward to these changes. I stayed away from the final parts of the act in beta testing. I just didn't want to see it. I'll see it when it's time. I am hugely looking forward to Path of Exile on the 10th. Am I alone in this one? Am I alone here?
no. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, good. One of you's coming with me because I know
Yeah.
Jason isn't.
It's like what you were just saying about Trove. It's like, for me, ARPGs are that kind of thing where I need to have a friend to go with. Otherwise, it's just grindy. Hit the thing, get the loot, do it over and over. Like
I would say let's go play. I mean, we could be friends
except
and
that you'll
play.
want to play like
except
48 hours a day. And
except we've got to do a dual first look coming up for the Duelist. There's another trading card game that we just posted about today that's trying to Steam greenlight that I think maybe we should do a little video on there too. We'll take a look at the alpha and see what shape it's in. I don't like
Magic Origins, which is already out on
that'll come out on the PC later this month. The other one, Nova Blitz, is in early alpha. We'll see how it runs first before we put a first look. I don't want to slam somebody's game on a first look because the alpha is a true alpha. That's not really fair in my book. So lots of stuff to check out. Path of Exile, The Awakening. Very quickly, we got a lot of viewer stuff to cover, but it's important that I get your opinion on this. Marvel Heroes 2015 is running an in-game event where you can actually randomly have a very small chance, but you can randomly loot an item that will instantly grant you 5,000 USD real-life cash. You just gotta let Gazillion Entertainment know you got one. What do you think of this? Free-to-play game giving away... I mean, we're used to esports, obviously, giving away tournament money and stuff like that, Zach. But what about in-game cash events like this? Fan? Not a fan?
I'm a fan of it to some degree. I like the idea of it in terms of the developers wanting to get back to their fans, but this isn't really the correct way to do that, in my opinion, at least. Because think about the people who are going to be looking for this loot. Chances are it might be new players, it might be people who have barely played the game at all, maybe people who didn't really like the game, but because there's a monetary incentive, they'll play it. It may not be the true fans that have actually been with Gazillion through the beginning and really have supported the game a lot. So I like the idea in terms of giving back to the community, but in the same regard, I feel as if the $5,000 is going to go to someone who completely despises the game, hates Gazillion's guts, is only doing it for the money.
So they're going to have...
exactly the idea. That's good.
Right.
Acquisition.
There's 5 prizes of $5,000. They're giving away $25,000 total. In my book, isn't that exactly the correct way to do this? If you've never played and I play 8 hours a day, we both, in theory, because it's all random, have exactly the same probability of winning this prize. Isn't that the way it should be done, though?
That's what every company wants. They could give bleep all about their veteran players if they can get new people in.
Yeah, I mean, it's good from a customer acquisition point. I mean, I definitely agree with that. I just think loyal players might feel a little burnt that it's for everyone instead of just, the people who have been with them since the beginning.
Get to have the same advantages.
I would be interested
I don't know. I'm all about loyalty.
If you are a hardcore Marvel Heroes 2015 player, like that is your game, throw a comment below on how you feel about this particular contest, because I don't think that's the first response. Oh shit, they're just giving it to anybody that plays. I think it's hey.
You should have to beat the big super tough.
To me, right? To me, I think somebody that's going to play it for 8 hours a day is going to play it for 8 hours a day. Now they just have like a little thing where it's like, oh, well, cool. While I'm playing, I might have a chance to win $5,000. I don't think they're going to hold it against Gazillion that Jason, who never plays and is now playing an hour a day just to see if he can get lucky. I disagree with you on this one, Zach, but
I
maybe
don't
I'm
think
nuts.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a big deal. I just think that, in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, well, I wish this was for the most loyal people. You know what I mean? It's not like it's going to cause controversy. It's not going to be an arcade, fiasco or whatnot, like to that level. But it's just, I don't know. As a player myself, if I played a game actively, I would rather it be for the people who've been there from the start than for just every single person. That's just the way I look at it. So.
If you're watching this on YouTube and wondering why I did not show any game footage for anything we talked about, you should go back and maybe count how many things and games we just covered in 28 minutes or so, because, yeah, that's why. Let's move over to the weekly bombs and get to your feedback. There's a ton of it. All right, first up, my bomb. I've got another split bomb, dub bomb and A bomb for the same damn thing. Dub bomb for Terra's Berserk update, finally allowing Berserkers to tank when they couldn't before, and it makes sense that this class could tank. It doesn't feel like a tacked-in thing, kind of like when Rift made the Mage tank, although I do love the Mage tank, right? That's my class. But this totally makes sense, and obviously gives players more tanks to pull from as far as dungeon queues. That's perfect. But an A-bomb, since the patch really didn't launch all that nicely. I mean, the wardrobe feature wasn't even working when it initially got pushed out the door, so yeah, not exactly the best launch. And I still hate that a game like Terra adds gender-locked classes after the fact. I'm not one of those guys that cares about gender locking, Jason. If your game's going to have it, fine. If you're not, fine. I don't care. But if your original class sets have male-female options, don't limit your future additional classes that you add into the game to a particular gender. I know it has nothing to do with this particular patch. That just still bugs me, and I gotta talk about it.
If there's a real lore reason for it, then I can...
Oh, even then, that's such a cop-out.
Terra lore? What?
Well, yeah, I know we're talking Terra. Still,
any game, they're like, hey, we're not gonna do a
Rogue
male model, so could we get one of the writers to, just job something up real quick on why males don't exist in this class?
I play Lotro, and they only have male dwarves in there, so that makes sense. Anyway.
Go ahead, Jason, you're up.
All right, I'm going to give a dub bomb to Sarah, which is spelled Serra, and it was a guy, and he was commanding the platoon I was in PlanetSide 2 over the weekend. Really good guy, really good commander, very nice speaking, very polite, very congratulatory, good job taking that point, guys, really good. And then at the very end, he said, all right, well, I'm signing off. Thanks for everyone who showed up. And I stream on twitch.tv/. I didn't get what it was, and I wish I did because I really liked the guy. He'd already signed off immediately, so I couldn't send him a tell. So if this sounds familiar to anybody, he plays a TR on Emerald server. So if this sounds like someone you guys know, please let me know who it was, where he streams or anything like that, so I can
so we can go give a follow.
And, he was British. He has a very nice, polite British gentleman kind of sound to his voice. Really good.
Jason's using his bomb as a missing child thing. He's like, have you seen this person?
Have you seen this commander?
Go ahead, Zach, you're up.
I got a bomb for Skyforge's solid stress test. I thought that the game was solid in its last closed beta, well, at least the last closed beta I played, which I think was number 2. And it just goes to show that quality game design could lead to good performance across many types of computers, and their stress tests really proved that. Their servers were stable, and from what I played of it, about 2 hours during prime time, I didn't have a single latency issue. So I have to give them full credit for making their game as solid as possible before launch. So
very cool. Now, some of these bombs and questions of the week, since we're going to do the bombs first, are by the same people because they wrote a paragraph and I split them up. So if you hear a duplicate name, it's because they made one long post and did everything in one post. So Aaron first says, I have to give a dub bomb to Path of Exile and the team at Grinding Gear Games. Aaron, you are automatically a friend in my book. Just an all-around fantastic game when it comes to content, replayability, balancing, monetization. Also, with the release of their next big update right around the corner, they never fail to keep their players in the loop every step of the way. Well done, Grinding Gear Games. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Mr. Winter, take the next one.
Of course you give me this one.
Of course.
This is from X Forever. So
hey, nobody's challenging you. What was it? Oh, what did I make you say in the one a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
Baller ass game.
Yeah,
Baller
baller
ass
ass
game.
game. That's it. I was like, Jason's totally got that one. All right, go ahead.
All right. X Forever gives an A-bomb to Guild Wars 2 for changing the trait system and actually making the core game worse, in addition to an overpriced expansion. Blah, blah, blah. All right. And another A-bomb to Marvel Heroes for the changes they made to the team-up system. It takes, I believe, but I could be wrong, approximately 3 to 5 times more experience to level a team-up hero to max level than it does an actual hero. And before they made the change, the team-ups were all synced to your current character's level. So you literally went from having a level 60 team-up with all abilities unlocked to having a level 1 team-up with nothing. And I just defended this very game in a recent combat on MMO Bomb, and literally 2 days later they implemented this change. FML. Never again will I defend any MMO ever. Tell the next one you like. By the way, you said we could ask general questions as well, so here's mine. Considering that I'm running low on MMOs I don't hate, God, what game would you guys play in your free time other than Echo Soul with Zach? Lol.
Ah.
Well, I play Guild Wars 2, but you hate that, so.
Right?
And of course, I play a lot of PlanetSide too, as I've been showing.
Yep. I play, on the subscription side, I play a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. On the free-to-play side, Path of Exile, and hold on, I gotta pull up my folder to see what I'm actually playing lately. I've been playing Path of Exile, and ducking in and out of Hearthstone. I play an awful lot of Hex, and I think that's like kind of my main contenders right now, with World of Warships about to be thrown into the mix. What about you, Zach?
For me, Swords War, play that a lot. Going to be hopping into it very soon because they're going to give companions to people who subscribe before July 29th, I think it is. So I'm going to definitely subscribe because I want the companion. But other than that, Dirty Bomb I've been playing a good bit, trying to get good at it. The only class that I'm good at is Nader, but it's overpowered, so that's not really anything. But other than that, I've just been hopping ship between one MMO to the next just to get myself educated on what's out there. I'll be hopping ship over to Path of Exile and Skyforge. And maybe I'll come back to World of Warcraft to check out the new raid once it's all in looking for raid. But I don't know yet because I don't really want to subscribe again to that game. So.
All right, next up, go ahead, Zach.
All right, so next up we have Mata Velhos. I think I pronounced that somewhat correctly.
Sounds about right.
The bomb to Digital Extremes, Warframe. They are so good at listening to players, weekly updates, weekly dev streams, many events in-game and out of game, and they're still growing. Why are no any other company that adopt their way of thinking?
You can tell Mike doesn't edit these before he puts them in.
I do not edit viewer comments because I think it's important to get tone and everything.
Yeah, and then he also gave an A-bomb to early access pre-alphas, alphas, closed betas, no ETAs. Lately, I see from early access to pre-alphas to alphas 7 to closed beta 4 to showing games that
pretty
will
much
launch
the cycle anymore.
2090-ish. Why so many? It makes me wait for too damn long, and I'm sick of it. Amen to that, man. Amen to that.
There's one game that I get a email from about seems like every 3 or 4 days. Like, we have another closed alpha test. Closed alpha test number 32 is going on. Please report on it. Put it on your site. No, not gonna.
Is it Daybreak?
No, it's not actually.
They're not at number 32 yet, but Armored Warfare does that same damn thing.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Armored Warfare's PR team is on it. Every day they send something, even if it's like a nugget this big or like really big news, they send something. And there just comes a point where Jason and I are like, we're not covering Armored Warfare today.
Supernova, the Bandai Namco.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of email about that one too.
The site would become MMO Armored Warfare.
Yeah, it definitely would. If the PR team had their way, it definitely would. Yeah. Tepic says, regarding Trion, and my question of if it was okay to end the boycott of Trion Worlds products because of how bad ArcAge is right now. Tepic says, regarding Trion, I'm not sure anyone that's still playing ArcAge after all this would be the best judge, as it seems they'll put up with basically anything the company does to them and still throw their credit cards at them asking for more. Tepic, fair point, but how would it benefit me to ask non-players if the game is now to their liking and if the company is... Because no, it wasn't. They left. I'm not going to touch another of their games after all the enormous lies. Totally valid point. And their hard pursuit of gambling boxes is a way to progress, and would only change my mind if they actually earned a good reputation. Again, I won't hold my breath. I think that's fair, but I kind of, I have to ask current ArcAge players, are you guys happy with the way you're being treated and stuff? Can I end my boycott? If I ask non-players, the answer's always going to be no. They quit. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, from Slash Coon. Again, answering your question. ArcAge as the game is in a good state. Trion as the publisher is starting to listen. They're hearing our outcry, no pun intended, you ArcAge players that follow Crowland, producer, at least. Example, they had car changes in the latest patch that limited car... They have cars in this game?
Yep.
That limited car speed downhill. Cars go at 15 meters per second. On flat ground, is limited to 22, 24, 28 speed. You can only get downhill. Not going to go into details. You went into more details than I care about.
Or than you probably understand.
Yeah. In the live stream, they said that they will change it to 30 meters per second for all three, and that was not in the current patch. Parentheses, I don't own a car. Summary, the game is in a decent state. Trion is starting to listen more to us, and they are improving. Also, they are actually fixing event times by themselves now and are not screwing it up. So, yeah, they are improving on all fronts, slowly but surely. And Magic Man, can you maybe start to think of ending your boycott? Or you can maybe start to think of ending your boycott, but not straight up here and now. In my opinion, as an ArcAge player that is doing endgame stuff with success, that was my opinion. This guy has no capital letters. He hates them. It's helpful, and in some months you can maybe break it.
See, now that's good feedback, right? I mean, even an endgame player is saying you almost, but not yet. Not yet. Look at Zach. He just shot the show notes down onto the next page, so he didn't even have to look at those.
I don't like when there's like a split going on and I have to read something. It's a complete OCD. But anyhow, the next person is Janice Gaming. A-Bum for Cabal 2. This is the worst MMO I have tried in recent memory. Labeling it beta is no excuse for this low level of quality. I played as far as mid-first dungeon and experienced the following. Disconnected from the server a half a dozen times. Same here. Lag was terrible. Same here. Sound completely died, although the crappy music kept playing. I had to return to character select and re-enter to get back. Chat is mostly not English and spammers. Yeah.
I had auto-loot. Some fun sound in the first look when in the middle of the cutscene, the voice acting goes away and then comes back at the end of it. Ugh.
Yeah, and then auto-loot function does not loot until you press the loot key. I didn't have that. Poor frames per second and all other negatives mentioned in this and the first look videos. I was going to try it until at least getting to the PvP, but it was unplayable in the current states. After another disconnection in Dungeon 1, I said forget it, uninstalled. P.S. They couldn't even be bothered to translate the uninstaller to English. Yes, you have to pay an extra $200 for that, sir.
That's part of Zach's founder pack.
Yeah, you get a statue, though. So,
Booty Dog 96 says, ArcAge player here. Don't understand what all the fuss is about with Trion. I've been playing their games since Rift opened up. I don't play Trion games exclusively, and I'm definitely not a fanboy. Trion, as a developer, does an outstanding job with their in-house titles. I would agree with you there. I would totally agree with you there. I think our whole panel would agree with you that Rift and Trove, they're fine. Trion is a publisher. They do the best they can to help translate game-wise items into the cash shop for the Western audience. At the end of the day, I'm a gamer, and I play what I want to play, and ArcAge fulfills the style and level of difficulty that I want. Whatever is in the cash shop that bodes ill will towards this game does not affect me in any way, because I play the game, not the cash shop. Boony Dog, great points. I think maybe you missed what the point of the boycott is, and that's what you asked right at the top of it. It's not what's in their cash shop. Otherwise, there's a lot of frickin' companies that I would be boycotting. This is more ArcAge players feeling really screwed over and taken for granted by Trion for decisions and comments and things that they've made about updates and the discounts to the store that weren't there, but then we'll get them at some point, and this is our way around it, but that wasn't exactly giving gamers what they were promised. It's just the general feeling of players being screwed and taken for advantage. So you're definitely right on your points. You're dead on. I can't argue with any of them. But it's not just the cash shop we're talking about as far as my little boycott goes. My little one-person meaningless boycott. Go ahead, Jason.
Frelm says, "The bomb to wargaming. Finally, they are embracing the concept of testing premium vehicles outside of their test servers. Hopefully, this is a change that came to stay." Yeah, you do hear about premium vehicles being a little bit overpowered, which especially is a big problem because you can only buy them with money. So,
Yeah.
I see that they're maybe trying to address that a bit.
We also usually ask viewers if you have questions for the host or thoughts or anything you want to see or hear us talk about, go ahead and throw it in the comments there. So this last one is share your thoughts. Zach, go ahead, take it.
Yep. Brork, share your thoughts. More screen time to Zach S.
All right.
Hello.
Jason remains silent. We'll
I'll just leave then. Fine.
just stay silent for a minute, Jason. We'll just keep the camera right here. All right, Brork, you asked, we delivered. There you go. There was some more Zach S. screen time. Question of the week last week, are you looking forward to Devilian Online in the West at all? Why? If not, is it the game, Trion Worlds, or both that turn you off? And X Forever says, hey guys, love the show. Thank you. Thank you. For the question of the week, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Devilian go into beta in 2012 in Korea? You are correct. So my answer to that question is the same as yours was when it comes to playing Echo of Soul and Cabal 2. Fair point, X Forever. Fair point. Touche to you, my friend. Go ahead, Jason.
From Defouk, that's how I'm going to pronounce it.
Oh, come on. I tried.
Hey, that is not a baller-ass name. Defouk Jenkins says, I am not excited for Devilian Online, and here's why. First of all, I too am boycotting Trion, so it's a two-person boycott.
Nice.
Even though the new Trove content looks awesome. I was an enormous fan of ArcAge and was extremely disappointed. I don't think Trion is ready for another import. I personally am not a big fan of ARPGs, and I think that Path of Exile is as good as it gets, and I doubt if Devilian can top it. Although I hope that Trion will do an excellent job and learn how to fix other imports. That pretty much sums it up pretty well. If they can just not screw this up, maybe that'll be a good. That's what they should be aiming for. Let's not screw it up.
How not to screw it up. Go ahead, Zach.
And Joshua Knight says, fantastic show as always. Thank you, sir. Question of the week, answer time. Is Trion Worlds publishing a new game or a good idea? Absolutely. It looks like a good title for fans of the ARPG genre. And at this point, I'm happy to get at any game that is not a MOBA or WoW clone. Quick note on magicman's boycott of Rift. I played ArcAge and put a couple of $100 into it. Oof. So did my friends. It was bad. Mistakes were made. However, as you are clearly missing Rift, I believe that you have made your point and the time has come to enjoy Rift again. Trion certainly has learned from their disaster, which was ArcAge, and I believe that we all deserve to play our favorite games in our downtime. The biggest mistake Trion Worlds made was not taking ownership for the stuff they up. They should learn from Square Enix with the response to Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 and learn that apologizing when your game is terrible doesn't make you a bad company, but rather shows a level of integrity and respect for the player base. This viewer also gave Square Enix a da-bomb for executing these thoughts and turning around a game. I mean, I
feel like Joshua Knight is like the little devil on my shoulder that's like, go ahead, play it. Play Rift. Rift is not my favorite game. I got to be clear about that. I do enjoy Rift, but it's not my favorite game. So I'm living, Joshua, I thank you for your concern, but I am living just a fulfilling life by not playing Rift as if I were playing it. However, I would like to dabble in it. I don't know. So the feedback was so mixed on this one, with even players saying, not yet. Close, but not yet.
He's wrong. He's been living in a box on the street ever since he bought the Rift.
Frelm says, question of the week, couldn't care less because of Trion. Would gladly give it a shot. Hey, Jason even got me to give Marvel Heroes 2015 another try, but not as a Trion product. Well, Frelms, you're welcome, and if you win $5,000, I think Jason Winter gets a cut of that. I'm just saying.
At least 10%.
On a side note about your question on ArcAge, I ain't giving Trion products even half a look until they refund, even if partially, my Founders Pack, since they didn't deliver on what I bought. Since there's no chance of that happening, Trion support even told me that not delivering what you buy is no grounds for them for a refund. I can forward the email to you if you want, or you could print the ticket. The company is dead to me. Frelms, forward me that email,
Yeah,
please.
I want to see that.
That's magicman at mmobomb.com. MAGICMAN, spelled normally, at mmobomb.com. Forward me that bad boy. That's funny, if that's actually what they said. If it is, I will be sure to read it to you, protecting the names of the innocent and or guilty on next week's show. Question of the week for this week: what free-to-play game would you like to see a real cash competition in-game event, and how should they do it? Now, we're not talking about esports, tourney money, and stuff like that. Kind of like Marvel Heroes 2015 is doing, where there's an actual in-game event and you could win cash. What game would you like to see it, and tell me how they'd implement it. Don't forget your dub bombs and A-bombs down there as well, so we know what you like and what you hate in the world of gaming. And, of course, feel free to ask any questions or suggest topics you want to hear us talk about. Until next time, Zach, where can everybody follow you, sir?
Well, if you guys want to watch some Skyforge gameplay tomorrow, or today is when you guys will be watching this, make sure to check out lugogaming.com for my live stream page. And also, if you want to follow me on Twitter to be alerted to that, twitter.com/Zach Sharps, and also Facebook at Lugo Gaming.
Mr. Winter.
Twitter, Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/Jason Winter.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Or, of course, you can always come on over to mmobomb.com and check out all the free-to-play goodness we've got there in news, videos, editorials where Jason gets to rant. Love it or hate it, make sure you're voting. 3 things we love about some game. Insert here, take a giveaway. See you next week. Stay safe. We'll see you in the servers!
Whoa.